What's going on, everyone? Welcome back. Today, we've got our week 1 fantasy football quarterback starts and sits for every single matchup. So make sure to tune in. If you enjoy, hit that like button, subscribe, give us a follow on Twitter at AllDayPigskin to continue interacting with us there. Let us hear in the comment section. Do you agree, disagree, along with any other questions you guys might have? We will do our best to answer them all. But with that being said, let's get right into it. Today's video is brought to you guys by DraftKings, who are doing something awesome. If you haven't heard, DraftKings has launched a first-of-its-kind fantasy football game using digital player cards. That's right, DraftKings, a leader in daily fantasy, is bringing their digital gaming expertise to the world of Web3. What does that mean? Well, DraftKings has recently launched DraftKings Marketplace, allowing customers to buy and sell exclusive player card NFTs. You can collect your favorite athletes' digital player cards and then use those cards to create a daily NFT fantasy lineup. Then, your lineup racks up points just like any other daily fantasy contest, and if you land near the top of the leaderboard, you can win cold, hard cash. In fact, we're going to open up our pack right now just for you guys to see, so let's do it. Opening the pack, 6 players. And boy, there is some serious potential here. Guys like Joe Burrow, Courtland Sutton, Sterling Shepard, and Zach Ertz. Love the upside here. Definitely excited. So go to DraftKings now. Sign up using our special link in the description with code TPPN and navigate to their marketplace where you can join a queue to purchase a pack of player cards. Each pack is different player cards. Enter your players into a lineup and watch the action unfold as your team scores points. We kick off week 1 with the Bills at the Rams. Here it's pretty simple. You're going to start both the names in Josh Allen and Matthew Stafford, but let's break it down a little bit further. Josh Allen is obviously the higher tiered quarterback, the guy that all offseason long we had as our 101 in terms of quarterback selections, highest upside out of pretty much all the quarterbacks in the league, especially for fantasy purposes because of what he can do with his arm and with his legs specifically. The guy is heavily utilized in the red zone, and he is sneaky on the ground in terms of picking up rushing yards. He's got the weapons around him. I think this will be a high-scoring affair, back-and-forth type of game. Wouldn't be shocked if both teams put up 30+. And Josh Allen, to me, is going to be a top 5 quarterback pretty much all season long, and I'm not wavering away from that in this game. With the Rams, Matthew Stafford, a lot has been made about his potential elbow issue. And I've said this before, I'll say it again. If the Rams aren't worried about it, I'm not worried either. And as of right now, that's kind of the standpoint that the Rams are going with. And because of that, I have Matthew Stafford as a, top 7 quarterback. I think that, yes, this is a tough matchup, no doubt about it, but this Rams offense is so high-powered. Cooper Kupp, Allen Robinson, you've got Higbee at the tight end position, you've got Henderson at the running back position. We'll see what Cam Akers does, but either way, I do like Stafford this week. I think when it's all said and done, he will be a top 10 quarterback, and it starts here with the Bills. Next, Eagles at the Lions. Even though I haven't been his biggest fan in the draft process because of his price tag, you're going to start Jalen Hurts here. He's got top 5 quarterback upside on the week, and primarily because of the matchup. The Lions defense doesn't scare me one bit, and whether it's through the air, whether it's on the ground, Hurts should have the options to succeed in both those areas. He's not a pass-first quarterback, but versus the Lions, there's going to be a lot of possibilities that he might not have on a week-to-week basis. So, honestly, I wouldn't be shocked if this is one of the highest scoring games that Jalen Hurts has fantasy-wise all season long. Basically, he's a set-and-forget type of quarterback this week for sure. Top 5 upside. Lions, I'm sitting Jared Goff. The Eagles' defense, sneakily underrated. And, we saw it with Jared Goff all season long. He's just not somebody that you can consistently trust in 2021. That'll be the case again in 2022. I do like some of the weapons that the Lions have, but the volume, the passing upside, the touchdown upside, just not there for Jared Goff. So I'm going to be sitting him. He's going to be a guy that really, just in case of emergency, you break the glass, and it's still way, way too early to be doing that. Then we go to the 49ers at the Bears. I'm only starting Trey Lance here. Justin Fields has a very, very tough matchup versus this 49ers defense. The Bears offense is, it's poor, to put it lightly. Now, that doesn't mean I don't like guys like Cole Kmet or Darnell Mooney, but there it's all about volume. Justin Fields could have 200 yards passing, and those guys can have huge days, but, for him, that's not a good stat line, especially if he has some turnovers and only like one touchdown or something like that. And I think that's a very, very real possibility for him here. So I'm sitting him, barely made my top 20 quarterbacks on the year. Trey Lance, look, this will be an interesting test for him, but the Bears, they don't scare me all that much. I wouldn't be shocked if this is a little bit of a lower scoring affair. And it's the first game for Trey Lance, really. There's going to be a lot of pressure. I don't have him as a top 10 quarterback on the week, but with his rushing upside, I think he will be very, very close. I think he's going to be kind of that high-end quarterback 2 type of situation. You got good weapons around him. I'm really curious to see how the 49ers will utilize him and what we see from him, and this will be a good litmus test. Then Steelers at the Bengals. I'm only starting Joe Burrow here. I would temper expectations a little bit. I have him, close to the 10th, 11th overall quarterback on the week. It's a divisional clash. Steelers, very stingy defense. And yes, the Bengals, the offensive line is improved. They've still got all those great weapons. But with these divisional games, you never know how they'll go. It's week 1. Crazy things happen. While I still think that Joe Burrow is a low-end quarterback 1, I don't think he'll be close to the top 5 quarterbacks on the week. And then sitting, Mitch Trubisky, it's pretty easy. Sure, we have the return of Trubisky here, if you will, but I've never been a Trubisky fan in terms of fantasy football, in terms of real-life football. I think he more so belongs as a backup quarterback. Offensively, the Steelers, they've got some weapons, yes, but I just think this will be a low-scoring affair from them. And, again, the Bengals defense kind of underrated as well. Divisional clash. I would rather sit Trubisky. Moving on, Patriots at the Dolphins. I really don't want anything to do with either one of these quarterbacks. Mac Jones, he's not a, aerial type of quarterback. We saw it last season. Another divisional clash here. I wouldn't be shocked if this is probably the lowest scoring game of the week, honestly. I just don't love the weapons in New England. I think they're going to be a run-first type of mentality, game management, so I'm sitting Mac Jones. And even though I do like Tua, I think he's going to take the next step forward this season. I'm sitting him here versus the Patriots. Again, going up against Bill Belichick, a coach, a team that knows you so well with an underrated defense, I'm sitting Tua, and I would rather start kind of dissecting the matchups with him going on after this week when you've got some more favorable games coming up. Then Browns at the Panthers. As crazy as it sounds here, I'll take a chance on Baker Mayfield. Yes, the Browns have a good defense, but I think the Panthers here, they're favored for a reason. The Browns without Deshaun Watson, completely different vibe to this team. And I think the Panthers are going to have some success. I think that Baker Mayfield can be a wild card this week and potentially all season long is, kind of a streaming quarterback 2 type of option. He knows this team very well. Obviously, that factors into it on top of it. And I think he can have some success here. I'm looking for between, 15 to 20 points, something like that. Hopefully on the upper side of it. I think he'll be a surprising quarterback 2 on the week. And then I'm sitting Jacoby Brissett. No offense to him, but he's no Deshaun Watson. And, I guess that's a good thing. But for fantasy football purposes, I think the Panthers defense is underrated. And with Jacoby Brissett, I think the Browns are going to be a run-first team. I just don't love any of the pass catchers here for the Browns with Jacoby Brissett under center. I don't like the offensive upside, the scoring upside. It's going to be a run-first type of situation. And Brissett is a sit. Then Colts at the Texans. I'll start Matt Ryan. I think Matt Ryan can be one of those sneaky quarterbacks this year where he kind of has a bounce-back season compared to the last couple of years. On the Colts, much better offensive line. You've got some sleepers here for the Colts. Michael Pittman. You got Alec Pierce. There's weapons to like. And even though maybe it's not as deep of a roster at the wide receiver position as some other teams, the Texans defense shouldn't scare you one bit. That's why I think Matt Ryan can have success here. I have him as a high-end quarterback 2. I wouldn't be shocked if the Colts focus more so on the rushing attack here, but Matt Ryan has all the scoring upside in this very favorable matchup. And then I'm sitting Davis Mills. The Colts defense, it's an underrated unit, stable unit. I'm not a Davis Mills believer. Other than Brendan Cooks, I don't really see anyone that I like all too much. I don't believe in that offensive line too much, so I'm passing on Davis Mills. Then Saints at the Falcons. I'll go with Jameis Winston. I think Jameis Winston can be another sneaky guy depending on the matchups. I have him as a mid to high end quarterback 2 on the week. I wouldn't be shocked if the Saints can put up a decent amount of points here versus the Falcons. The Falcons defense, it's not going to just flip the switch in one season. And, the Saints, they've got the weapons. Michael Thomas, healthy. Chris Olave, Jarvis Landry, Alvin Kamara. So that's something to get excited about if you're a Jameis Winston owner. Then for the Falcons, though, you're sitting Marcus Mariota. And honestly, I think that's going to be the case for a lot of this season, but especially here versus the Saints. The Saints have a good defense. Mariota, there's a reason he's been a backup for the majority of his career. And I think this is going to be a low-scoring affair on the side of the Falcons. I think it could be potentially a blowout. I'm sitting Mariota. Then Ravens at the Jets. Really only one name you're going to start here, Lamar Jackson versus the Jets. He's a top 5 quarterback, absolutely. I mean, he's a top 5 quarterback almost regardless considering what he can do with his legs. But here especially, I love this matchup for him. It's really a no-brainer, nothing else to say. For the Jets, Zach Wilson probably not playing, so Joe Flacco, kind of that revenge game versus the Ravens, but it doesn't matter. He's far, far removed from what he once was. And even though the Jets have some intriguing pieces, this is a bad matchup for them. I'm sitting Joe Flacco. Then Jaguars at the Commanders. I'll start Carson Wentz. I think, again, this is a good matchup if you look at it on paper versus the Jaguars. Washington can have success versus them. I think Carson Wentz is kind of that Baker Mayfield category for me, low to mid-level quarterback 2, a guy that you take a chance on based on matchups, again, depending on the size of your leagues. Washington does have some interesting weapons offensively, so I think Wentz here can have success. I will, however, sit Trevor Lawrence. And I know Trevor Lawrence long-term is the more interesting guy here, but the Commanders, they have a very good defense, and I just don't think the Jaguars honestly did enough offensively in terms of pass catchers to have Trevor Lawrence as a set and forget type of quarterback every single week for fantasy football purposes. I mean, look, Christian Kirk, you paid him a lot of money, but is he the wide receiver 1 here that you can trust? Evan Ingram, okay at the tight end position, Travis Etienne, James Robinson, but again, this Commanders defense, very underrated unit, and I just don't think that week 1 is necessarily the week to go with Lawrence. Then Packers at the Vikings. I'll start both these quarterbacks, Aaron Rodgers and Kirk Cousins. Now, I will say, I think Aaron Rodgers is going to be probably outside of the top 10 quarterbacks this year without Devontae Adams. Tough situation for him. I have actually both these guys outside of the top 10 quarterbacks on the week. They belong more so in the quarterback 2 category, and especially if Allen Lazard doesn't play for Green Bay. But, I mean, you got to give Aaron Rodgers the credit he deserves. He's a Hall of Fame quarterback, one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, and he's going to make the guys around him better. I think this will be a high-scoring affair, so I'll still start Aaron Rodgers. And then Kirk Cousins, he's perennially underrated. He is, I feel like, the quintessential guy at the quarterback position that people forget in fantasy football, but then he still puts up 20 points. So I have both these guys as mid-level quarterback 2s on the week. Then Giants at the Titans. I'm sitting both these quarterbacks. I really don't like this game for quarterback purposes in fantasy. Daniel Jones, I just don't believe necessarily in the pass catchers around him. And for the Titans, they're a run-first team. You lost A.J. Brown. I don't think Treylon Burks is going to give you that replacement immediately. Robert Woods is still coming off an ACL. Again, I think this could be one of the lower-scoring games of the week. I really don't want anything to do with either one of these quarterbacks this early on. Afterwards, Raiders at the Chargers. Love both of these guys, Derek Carr and Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert was our guy last season. He finishes the number 2 overall quarterback. Guess who's our guy at the quarterback position this year? It's Derek Carr. I'm all in on Derek Carr this season. I think he can challenge for the league lead in passing yards. I think this is going to be a high-scoring affair. I think every game in this division is going to be a high-scoring affair. You got Devontae Adams added to the crew. You still got Hunter Renfrow, Darren Waller. I'm all about it. Justin Herbert, he's got his fair share of weapons. I mean, Austin Eckler, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams. The list goes on and on. Great offensive line as well. I think this could be the highest scoring game of the week, back and forth. I love it for fantasy football purposes. Herbert, I do have higher, but Derek Carr, I have as a top 10 quarterback, and honestly, as a sleeper quarterback one all season long. Then Chiefs at the Cardinals. Again, pretty simple here. You start Patrick Mahomes, you start Kyler Murray. Both these guys have top 5 upside on the week. We know what Patrick Mahomes can do. Yes, he doesn't have Tyreek Hill, but don't sleep on Juju Smith-Schuster. Another game that should be top 5 in terms of scoring upside. And then Kyler Murray, even without DeAndre Hopkins, you got Marquise Brown. You've got guys like James Conner, potentially Zach Ertz. You've got Rondell Moore, AJ Green. There's going to be scoring opportunities here, and he has a little bit of an added bonus because of what he can do with his legs. Yes, I prefer Patrick Mahomes, but I think Kyler Murray will be right there in terms of a borderline top 5 quarterback. Then Bucs at the Cowboys. Look, I'll start both these guys, but I think that neither Brady or Prescott finishes top 5 quarterbacks on the season. Honestly, I wouldn't be shocked if both finish outside the top 10. I will, however, say, obviously, Brady, you never count him out, similar to an Aaron Rodgers. And the Bucs offense is loaded. I mean, Chris Godwin expected to play, which is insane. So you've got Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, Russell Gage, and Julio Jones. That's not a bad foursome, and Leonard Fournette on top of that. But the offensive line is taking a big hit here for the Bucs. However, I do think they will have success here versus the Cowboys. I view Tom Brady as a borderline top 10 quarterback on the week. And then for the Cowboys, Prescott, I think it's going to be a similar situation to when the Cowboys faced the Bucs last year. You're going to have a tough time running on them. It's a stingy defense, and you might be relying on Prescott to get you some garbage time points in order for him to salvage a decent quarterback performance here. The offensive line is taking a hit. No more Amari Cooper. Gallup is hurt. So you're looking at CeeDee Lamb. You're looking at Schultz. You're looking at, Jalen Tolbert, guys like that. We'll see if that's enough. But again, this is the much tougher matchup for the Cowboys side of it in terms of opposing defenses. So I do have Brady ranked higher than Prescott on week 1. Then Broncos at the Seahawks. This is really simple. You start Russell Wilson. You bench the hell out of Geno Smith. Russell Wilson returns to Seattle. Yes, it's a tough environment. Both sides know each other very well. There's going to be good game planning, but the Broncos are on a whole nother level with Russell Wilson. He's got the weapons. Judy, Sutton, Javonte Williams, Melvin Gordon. It's a long, long list, and I think Russell Wilson could be, I've said this before, in terms of upside, the guy who's being drafted like close to the 10th overall quarterback, he could be the guy that ends up finishing as the number 1 overall quarterback that we just didn't give enough love to. He always goes on these incredible hot streaks at the start of the season. Wouldn't be shocked here. I do have him as a sleeper, as a potential top 5 quarterback on the week. I really like Russell Wilson. And then Geno Smith. I feel like I don't have to say anything about Geno Smith. We saw what he is last season with the Seahawks. That's not a starting quarterback. That's not a starting fantasy quarterback. I'm benching him here. Awful matchup. No, thank you. But with that, we wrap up our week 1 fantasy football quarterback starts and sits for every single matchup. If you guys enjoyed, hit that like button, subscribe. Give us a follow on Twitter at AllDayPigskin to continue interacting with us there. Let us hear in the comment section, did you agree, disagree, along with any other questions you guys might have. We'll do our best to answer them all. And in the meantime, we'll see you guys in future videos.